Hello, everyone, and welcome to part 3 of Touhouvania. It's time for Not Bloody Tears, one of my favorite tracks in the game, actually. So,
yeah, it's actually pretty impressive that they took the arguably catchiest and most well-known Castlevania track and turned it into an equally catchy and an equally catchy and memorable track on its own merits.
it's also our clock tower level.
Were you struggling to?
How do you describe?
Identify it as a parody?
Well, yeah, kind of. This music track is Touhouvania in a nutshell, really. But like it's clearly identifiable as being similar to the thing it's referencing, but it's also very, very good on its own, you know?
So the way I look at it, just from an outsider's perspective, this is a game where if you have an enemy on the ground, you approach them like a Castlevania game. If they're in midair, you have to approach them like Touhouvania. Well, Touhou in general. Touhouvania is the name of this game. Well, what we call it.
Well, you don't strictly have to, but it's built around being a Castlevania game first.
I see how nimble the enemies are on the ground. Like, they just lunge towards you. And I think the only feasible way you can avoid them is just by jumping over them, which is...
Or flying over them, maybe. But
yeah, but you can't exactly... you can't follow up fast in midair without, like, being in front of them, because the only thing you can do in midair, from my knowledge, is besides whipping... Can you shoot?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just don't use it because it doesn't do a lot of damage.
yeah,
Right.
the whip is clearly the power move here.
So, yeah, so the trade-off between being able to fly indefinitely is that your attack game is weaker.
Yes. I mean, it's useful for chip damage if you're focusing on a defensive style of play, so...
Yeah. So you can at least get some damage in. And it's not just a humongous waiting game.
I just don't play that way.
Right.
Hang on, I think...
Now our bridge to Dracula.
This is also just very reminiscent of Symphony of the Night's Clock Tower.
Yeah.
Because there's an area in that game that looks exactly like this. In fact, I'm waiting for you to come across the giant blue skeleton.
I found the game I was thinking about 2 parts ago.
Oh, finally.
It's
A chapter, story in the making here.
Someone in the comments already said it, but...
Well, yeah, it's called...
Thanks for the engagement.
Well, yeah, for all of you in the future comment section, we recorded these 4 parts all in one sitting, so I found this before you did. There. Crescent Pale Mist is the game. And it's like 2D sprites on a 3D 2.5D sort of plane. And it's very much like, it has a very similar feeling to Touhouvania, except you're a sword fighter and you do combo attacks. So it's also got that sort of Elysian Tale sort of vibe going on in its action combat. It's also one of those games with a really lazy looking user interface that's just all number barf all over the place. So I remember enjoying the game when I played it, but I never did finish it. I had a lot more disposable income as a teenager, apparently.
Well, you weren't taking care of your own rent and stuff, so...
Oh yeah, these days it's like I get $94 off a delivery block for Amazon Flex, and I'm like, sweet, I could buy a game if I didn't have to put this immediately into some bill.
That's live.
That's live. And also the gas that I spent getting the money in the first place. Man.
I mean, isn't that the kind of the bitch of it, though? Like, in that line of work, you have to make sure that you're not using more gas than you need to. Otherwise, you're just immediately using whatever you earn just to replace the gas it costs.
Well, yeah. The trick is, like, depending on the math, how gas prices match up, and how the gradual wear that you put your car in adds up. You could end up, like, practically paying the company you're doing gig work for to let you drive for them. So, oh Jesus,
Got smacked right in the face.
it's like I can only really make it work the way I make it work because I can offset that by doing work for a delivery station that's really goddamn close to where I live, like 2 minutes away. So,
In fact, I'm living in it right now.
I wish.
That's sad.
It would be a bigger room than the one I have, okay? Okay.
Hey, onigiri, nice.
One of these days I need to actually try onigiri. Not the MMORPG, the actual food.
Well, what is it?
It's rice balls.
Oh, is it just that's what it's called?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, because growing up, I used to know them as donuts.
Well, yeah, the rice balls. The kind of rice that they make in Japan and stuff is a different sort of rice than what we would buy in our stores today. It naturally sticks together more, which is why.
Well, that also depends on how it's prepared. too.
Yeah. But it naturally sticks together more. It's specifically made to do that because they eat with chopsticks. So, you know, it would help if it didn't fall apart every time you tried to pick it up.
So this is our a la carte of the series. Sakuya.
Well, I mean, we're sitting here in front of a clock, so my mind jumped to, what's her name, Maria?
Maria Renard. Well, we have Marissa here.
Maria, if we're playing Rondo Blood or Dracula X, is often where we find Annette before she turns evil like that.
Ah.
Did you see that? Fucking the edible kicked in right in the middle of the conversation.
But yeah, she's the playable character for the next game.
Oh, is she? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna ask, like, is there any other playable character in this game besides this girl?
Reimu.
Because I'm like Raimi. Thank you.
I mean,
Was it?
you say the edible kicked in, but my mind jumped to Sword Art Online Abridged. That moment where Kirito uses his detective mode, but detective mode hurts his eyes because they light up with radioactive hellfire. So, like, he talks about how he's got like 5 minutes until the crippling pain kicks in, and then they fade forward in time to the end of a very long and serious conversation, and then Sachi is like, hey, didn't you say like you were going to pass out from the pain? And he's like, oh, I guess I was stronger than I thought. And then mid word he just starts screaming. That abridged series is pure gold.
Unfortunately, I don't care about the source material, so I wouldn't know.
No, well, this is one of those abridged series where, like, even if you don't know the source material, the story is good enough on its own merits to be worth watching.
Right. I don't doubt that, but it's a really hard sell if I don't care about the thing in question.
Yeah, I get you.
Like, I don't watch Naruto. I wouldn't watch Naruto abridged. I don't watch Bleach. I don't watch Bleach abridged. I don't watch, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I get you. So Saki is basically death in this parody, right?
Yes, as far as her role in the game goes, yes.
Right.
Well, instead of sickles, it's swords.
Daggers, yeah.
Yeah. Swords and daggers.
There's probably a whole context to the Toho part of this that explains why they picked particular characters for particular roles.
No, she's the maid of the Scarlet Devil Mansion, so she's kind of the second in command.
Oh.
Got her.
I mean, that would be easier to parse if the maid wasn't just as much a cutesy anime girl as every other character in the cast. This is one aspect where every character having adhering to that theme sort of prevents the character from standing out some. Because if the character cast archetypes were a bit more varied, then a character who has a sort of frilly maid aesthetic woven into her character design would stand out more as having a frilly maid aesthetic woven into her character design. But since they're all just waifus, all I see is another waifu.
Yeah. Look one after the other. I don't want to sound racist here, but all these girls look alike. Wait a minute, hold on a second. So is there like two? I'm assuming one's a nickname and one's the actual name, but they spell Remy's name like two different ways from what I saw in the dialogue.
Yeah, one of them's probably a nickname.
Yeah, because what the dialogue box is showing was Remu.
Yeah.
Was it R-E? I wish the girl was talking right now so I could see it. Because
Remu,
I'm
yeah,
and
ends with a U.
Yeah, yeah. But one of the other girls, I'm assuming, spelled it as R-E-M-I, unless that's a different
Remy,
person.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's probably just a nickname more than anything.
maybe. Or I'm just not paying attention. It's a completely different character.
Nicknames in Japanese are one of those things that just do not translate at all, because like they're all like name shortening with cutesy honorifics sometimes, or sometimes they just repeat one of the syllables in their name and call that a nickname. Like Sinon in Sword Art Online, Asuna calls her Sinanon in Japanese. It's really strange to play the SEO games and hear her calling her that all the time, because like in the actual anime dub they just drop that nickname entirely because there's no way to translate that shit. It's dumb. It sounds silly in English. Also, I like how instead of an actual staircase there, they just like it's wheelchair accessible Dracula's castle. I mean. Okay, just
Hey, never say Dracula's not inclusive.
well, I mean, like they have stairway graphics. They made the conscious decision to make the Castlevania staircase a legally distinct wheelchair ramp.
Sometimes Dracula has those nights where he doesn't feel like turning into a bat to fly up to his throne room, and he has like one of those like those railways installed to the side of the wall that you just ride the chair up.
Medieval escalator.
Yeah.
Okay.
Those Belmonts really drive me up a wall. No, that's your chair, Dracula.
Hi, Remilia.
Oh no, she took the animal.
Was Remy a nickname for Remu or Remilia?
Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier. It's like I'm thinking they might be just referring to a completely different character. I just misread.
It's still a nickname though, just a nickname for a different character. Okay.
Well, it's just shorthand.
Yeah. My favorite case of a Japanese nickname not translating well was actually the PSP remake of Persona 2, where in the character naming you have the character's first and last name, and you also have the character's nickname. And like for Tatsuya, it's like Tachan, and it's just like what? Who's calling me Tachan? That's such a weird nickname for this edgy looking biker dude. That's such a weird nickname for this edgy looking biker dude. Come on. Well. Oh, here we go. Anime speeches.
So like, I know we're 3 parts in, and I'm only asking this now. What exactly is going on in this game?
We're trying to figure that out. Is the thing.
Okay, so a red scarlet colored version of the evil mist from Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles is hovering around this castle, and it's bad news, so we need to stop it.
So from what I understand, from what I'm gathering, is that this castle appeared out of nowhere.
Remilia made it, yes.
Also,
Yeah.
the villain is an anime lady with Photoshop wings, and
Yeah. No, not so much Photoshop wings. The blood like overlay on it are Photoshop.
yeah, it's real. It's also in this lady's hair. It's really obvious once you notice it. It's the kind of thing you want to unsee but can't. Yeah.
It's like, I know exactly how you made those blood splatters. You found a brush set you really liked on Google, installed it, never looked back.
I mean, it's odd in the sense that it's a flat sort of overlay texture on a pair of wings that is clearly meant to be 3-dimensional and angled toward the camera. So it doesn't match the perspective that the wings are drawn for.
Yeah, they look very
Yeah.
flat. They don't curve along with the wing.
Yeah. So yeah. And it could work in a different art style, but it does not mess with the very detailed texture of the anime art of the anime Castlevania art style the characters are drawn in. So it's a bit strange. Okay, so let's see. It's vampire hunting time?
Yeah, Remilia's a vampire.
Like actual
No,
vampire.
but why are you saying it's vampire hunting time now? You've already hunted down the vampire. Vampire hunting would be the thing you were doing before you got to this room.
I think vampire killing time might have been too derivative.
I mean, they could have just not said that line. That's probably an oddity introduced by the translation, too.
I mean, probably.
Yeah, because hunting only elicits the act of searching for whatever you're looking for. But the act of dealing the finishing blow, I mean, that's just at that point, just an encounter. It's killing.
I like how this encounter is. What if Dracula actually tried to kill you with the fireballs he shoots out? Instead of just...
Oh, then Castlevania Harmony of Despair, hard mode.
Yeah.
Because that shit hurt. It's even worse when there's like 4 people.
I'm kind of just I'm just kind of like I'm referring to the way Dracula just sort of laconically teleports back and forth, shooting piddly little fireballs on a horizontal plane that is easily dodged. Unless you're playing
Only in a Metroidvania. It's like if you're playing a classic Vania, you gotta time that shit.
Yeah, the 8-bit games, it was a little harder because of how little jump control you had, but then he just kept doing it after you had actual jump control, and it was just like, okay, look, I've evolved.
Boomer Dracula refuses to adhere to the new ways.
I've evolved past this Dracula. Come on. I like how they can't just say the same line once and have 2 names in the box. They have to write the line twice and put a little slash in the middle so that you know it's being said twice by 2 different people.
This is cheating.
You don't get summons, I only get summons.
So what oh, this is a summon? Oh, is this a previous boss?
Yeah, melee.
Mei-Ling?
Well, actually spelled Mailing now because
Yeah, we changed her name.
yeah. Well, more I think we remembered it, or she reminded us. I'm not sure.
So why is she trying to kill us instead of saving our game?
Wrong Mailing.
Thankfully, they all have much less health than they usually do.
Like I would hope so. Can you imagine? No, I mean maybe in a larger difficulty, it'd just be straight up rematches on a 1 health bar.
There are difficulty options in this game, so you can make it easier if you want to.
No, this is a Castlevania parody, not Zelda. That doesn't work.
What doesn't work?
The achievement name.
Oh.
Destroy 50 faces. Yeah.
It's a secret to everybody.
Oh.
Make up your mind, Touhouvania.
Now for the actual final boss phase.
You can tell because the vocal track kicked in.
Yes, it did.
Luckily, there are mid-boss checkpoints.
Yeah, but if you lose all your lives, you're back to the beginning.
Ugh. Well, I think what do you have 9 lives or
I start with 20.
you start with 20? Where's your life counter at?
It's the heart under the health bar.
Okay, yeah, it was the hard thing, and the star thing is your side weapon ammo.
That's just confusing.
Well, only if you're a Castlevania fan, I guess.
Who else is gonna play a Castlevania parody?
Toho fans.
You got me there, but
That's bullshit. I clearly hit your legs.
Only I get small hitboxes.
Idiot. My brain is in my chest.
That freaking like glowing red flat wing that she spawns is making me think Spawn every time she does it.
It's also like the most animated thing in this damn game.
Yeah. It's like, you know how Spawn always has that thing going on with his cape where it just randomly grows to 700 times its actual size to make him look more ghostly or some shit? She's doing that with her wing, and it doesn't really connect to her sprite at all. So sometimes it's misaligned, and it's like, it bothers me.
It could be misaligned intentionally as an intimidation tactic.
Yeah, try to make your enemy realize mid-boss fight that they're a character in a video game, and the existential crisis will make them hesitate at a crucial moment.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, that sounds like something Toby Fox would do. What's funny is like this boss battle is basically just Dracula, but she does more than just teleport.
Yeah, the music that's playing during this boss fight is one that I had on my MP3 player back in the day a lot.
Yeah.
So I have this weird thing where my brain has a tendency to associate the music I listen to with the thing that I frequently do while I'm listening to it.
So you think you're driving?
Well, if I drive a lot while I'm listening to something, I'll think I'm driving. If I read a particular book series a lot when I was listening to a particular track, I'll remember doing that. That sort of thing.
An associative memory.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, when I say my MP3 player, I'm talking about, like, really old-ass MP3 players that didn't display much information about whatever it was you were listening to.
Something you buy at a Kmart.
Yeah, so they've got, like, 5 characters worth of information displaying on their tiny-ass little screen. And I would lose track of which music belonged to what thing while I was listening to it. And I had a hell of a lot of anime music on my MP3 player back in the day because I was going through that phase. So I just ended up associating a lot of J-pop with random things that I would do to kill time. And as a result, there are a disturbing number of anime songs in the back of my memory that I have no idea what anime they belong to. And I just associate them with, like, Dritz de Erden books or some shit, because that's what I was reading when I listened to it. I couldn't tell you what the song's called, or what it's about, or what OP it belonged to.
But you like listening to it.
Pretty sure half of them are Yu-Gi-Oh tracks that I just forgot are Yu-Gi-Oh tracks, but, you know.
So wait, we have another part after this.
We have an extra stage.
Oh, okay. I was like, this looks like the end of the game.
Not quite.
Okay. Oh.
I mean, it could be the end of the game if you want it to be, but we're going to be playing the extra stage in the next part of, Touhouvania.
Touhouvania. Interesting. Actual outro. What the fuck is this?